So next disaccharide we are going to start with, that is maltose. Of course, maltose is present in cereals like that is barley. You can remember that barley, it is one of the cereal, and even it is present in wheat, that is common noun wheat is rich in this maltose. And now if you consider this maltose is actually called as disaccharide. So because it is containing 2 alpha D glucose units. So this maltose is containing similar type of monosaccharide units, hence it is called as homodisaccharide. So this maltose is generally considered as made up of 2 monosaccharide units, which are those monosaccharide units, that is alpha D plus glucose. Both are having alpha form and D, and they are dextrorotatory, D plus glucose units. Now this is rich in malts like cereals, what I told you before, hence it is called as malt sugar. Then even you can call it as dextrorotatory. So here it can rotate the plane polarized light towards the right hand side, hence its specific rotation is having positive value, it is named as dextrorotatory. It is dextrose sugar. And now if you go for this reducing property of this sugar, so it can be called as reducing sugar. Why it can be called as reducing sugar? It can reduce Benedict's solution. It can easily reduce Benedict's solution and even Fehling solution. Therefore, it is called as reducing sugar. So what is the reason why it is acting as reducing sugar? Because in the structure we can come to know that it is containing free aldehydic group. And now if you consider this the reducing sugar because of the presence of free aldehydic group. And now this is actually existing in the form of 2 formats, that is alpha plus that is maltose, and other one is beta plus maltose. And now of course you can consider that hydrolysis of this maltose actually gives 2 alpha D glucose units. When this particular maltose sugar is subjected for hydrolysis process, that is, what is that formula we can represent here? I can write it as C12H22O11, that is disaccharide unit, which on hydrolysis gives, that is in case of acidic medium, we can consider it as on hydrolysis this disaccharide unit, that is maltose, it is undergoing splitting to give monosaccharide units. One is alpha C6H12O6 and another one is C6H12O6, that is both are glucose units. Of course, they are what form of glucose units? Alpha form. It is also alpha form. Therefore, by considering this feature, we can now write the Haber structure for this maltose. So you should remember, this is one of the important structure you should learn. Even it will be arising in your examination paper. So that is, they can directly ask the question, write the Haber structure for the maltose. Then what structure you should remember to write the Haber structure? Glucose unit structure. That is of course alpha D glucose units. Then you have to write adjacent side, you write the hexagonal rings. And you write one more hexagonal ring. Both are identical to one another. Now we can write this bond lines. I can start with alpha D plus glucose, and here also it is made up of alpha D plus glucose. Now I can start with code, same code you remember, which is that code we can remember, HHOH, HH above the plane of the ring, HH OH H, but last H should be written below because it is containing terminal CH2OH group. Now opposite to H, OH, of course it will be involved in the glycosidic linkage. So it is OH, it is H, it is OH. Similarly, you write another glucose unit, that is make that code H, H, OH, H, H, it is CH2OH. And now we can write to the opposite of H, OH here, OH here, H here, OH. But of course these two are involved in the bond formation and there will be removal of water molecule. They are linked through oxygen atom with the loss of water molecule. Hence you will get glycosidic linkage. What type of glycosidic linkage? You can give the numbering for this glycosidic linkage. So now one carbon atom, that is first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. First, second, third, fourth. Now this is the fourth carbon atom. This is the first carbon atom. We can represent 1,4 alpha glycosidic linkage. C1, C4. So it is linked to alpha. So alpha glycosidic linkage. Glycosidic linkage. 1,4 glycosidic linkage. That is why we will call it as these two monosaccharides are linked to give the maltose, which is homodisaccharide. So that is regarding Haber structure for the maltose. You just remember that code. It is easy to write the Haber structure, so without doing any mistakes. The next disaccharide we are going to learn is, that is lactose. So as you know, lactose is rich in milk. So it is lactose sugar. So it is also called as milk sugar because it is rich in milk. Now this lactose is actually involving, it includes two monosaccharide units. One is galactose, another one is glucose. Hence we can call it as heterodisaccharide. It is containing dissimilar monosaccharide units. Now this maltose on hydrolysis, it can give two units. Which are those two units? Alpha plus that is, particularly we can give the name as one is galactose and the one is glucose. I can write the formula for this lactose as C12H22O11. So it is representing lactose. So lactose on hydrolysis, in the presence of acidic medium you can consider, you are going to get the breakage of the linkage, glycosidic linkage between two units, galactose and glucose. Hence you will get the formation of one is galactose. As usual we can write the same formula C6, that is C12H22O11, on addition of water it will give C6H12O6 plus C6H12O6. One is galactose, but of course it is beta D galactose, and here it is not galactose, it is beta D plus, it is also plus, beta D plus glucose. One is galactose unit, other one is glucose unit. This lactose is obviously called as reducing sugar because it is containing free aldehyde group. You are going to know about that while you write the structure. Now this is called as reducing sugar because it can reduce both Fehling solution as well as Benedict's reagent. Why it is acting as reducing sugar means it is containing free aldehyde group. Now this in nature lactose can exist in the form of alpha plus lactose and beta plus lactose. Now if we go for the lactose on hydrolysis, you are going to get these two units. Now if you write the structure of lactose, you should remember the structure of beta D galactose and beta D glucose. Now I am going to give the Haworth structure. Haworth structure. Of lactose. It's very easy to write the Haworth structure of lactose, but it's very important. Now, if you start with, you write two adjacent What units? Hexagonal units, that is hexagonal ring. 2 hexagonal ring you are supposed to write first. Now you write the bonds, bond lines. First, which is easy to remember for you. So this side you should remember, you should mention beta D, or we can write it as beta D plus galactose and beta D glucose. So which is easy to remember? Glucose, right? So first you remember what is the code for alpha D glucose? HHOH. H, always you remember this code. It is very easy to extract structure for different disaccharides like sucrose and next maltose and next one is lactose. HHOH, HH. But here in the very first case, now there will be change in the first position. Now H will go below and OH will go above. Now only small change with respect to the code of this beta is, instead of writing HHOH, you should remember first position only there will be change OH, H, OH, HH. Therefore remember that standard code HHOH, HH. Wherever that alteration we can make, you can easily make out that with the help of this code itself. Now only we are changing that first position with respect to beta. Remember whether they have given alpha or beta. Since it is beta, so you should change the position. Head should not be lying above, it should lie below. Then remaining will be same as it is. So here terminal carbon, that is primary alcoholic group. For H it is OH, for OH it is H, and here H, of course OH. Now later it will be involved in the linkage. Next, which unit you should write? That is galactose. Now once you can consider this galactose, here beta, again you remember the same code here. So HH, OH, HH. But what is that alteration you should make here? Beta means instead of writing H, you should write it as OH. Then here H. After OH, instead of writing H, you are writing OH, then H. Then OH. Then fourth position. Now there will be change in this position. In the fourth position, particularly for galactose, the H will be lying below, OH will be lying above. Only this is that change. Here if you remember the structure of beta D glucose, then you can easily write the correct exact structure for galactose. What is that small difference between this glucose and galactose here in case of beta? At fourth position there will be change in the configuration. So H is lying above, but here H is lying below and OH is lying above. This is the exact structure for the galactose. And now of course the terminal position is always CH2OH, and of course opposite to CH2O is always H, not OH. And for OH, H, H, OH. Now you don't give the structure as it is, I have written here. Now there will be linkage, isn't it? This OH is lying below, this OH is lying above. Therefore there is a cross linkage. So what type of linkage it is? If they ask in examination, what is the type of linkage? In case of lactose, what is the type of glycosidic linkage? What is that glycosidic linkage? It is numbering is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is fourth carbon, it is first carbon, C1. Then C4. Instead of writing alpha, what you should write? Beta glycosidic linkage. Beta glycosidic linkage, isn't it? So in the previous case also you got C1, C4, but it was, that is in case of maltose, you will get C1, C4 alpha glycosidic linkage. But here in case of lactose, you will get C1, C4 beta glycosidic linkage. So that is regarding the Haber structure for the lactose. I think it is very easy to remember the code. That is what I have given here, and easy to write the whichever the molecule they are going to ask in examination. Either they can ask have a structure for sucrose or maltose or lactose. Lastly, we can go for polysaccharides. As you know, polysaccharide contains n number of monosaccharide units. So here these polysaccharides, either they will be structural polysaccharides or storage polysaccharides. Now we can start with one of the polysaccharide, that is called as storage polysaccharide. So here that is starch is considered as one of the important example which is acting as polysaccharide, that is specifically named as storage polysaccharide. So because it is one of the important dietary source for human beings as well as for animals. Now once you can consider this starch, the starch is actually very much abundant or very rich in cereals like wheat, maize and many millets like finger millets, that is ragi we can consider, and even we can find the starch is rich in roots as well as tubers and vegetables. If you consider potato, it is very much rich in starch. And now once you go for that component of the starch, actually what starch is made up of? Starch is containing n number of alpha D glucose units. Of course, if you take one spoonful of starch and mix it well with one glassful of water, so you will not find complete solubility of that starch, isn't it? So that shows that this starch containing actually two components. One is water soluble component, other one is water insoluble component. Majorly it contains water insoluble component. So if you consider those, one is water soluble component, other one is water insoluble component. Here water soluble component is named as amylose, whereas water insoluble component will be named as amylopectin. So amylose is soluble in water, whereas amylopectin is insoluble in water. Then what makes them to differ with respect to their solubility in water? Now if you go for analysis of the structure of this amylose, actually amylose is made up of n number of glucose units. As you can find here, I have written the structure, partial structure of this amylose. So there will be continuity on either side yet. Now this is the very first ring, what I have written is, it is representing alpha D glucose unit. So all these are representing alpha D glucose units. So the adjacent alpha D glucose units are linked through oxygen atom. That is what type of linkage actually here? So for one structure C1 carbon atom and for another structure C4 carbon atom along with hydroxyl group, they are involved in the glycosidic linkage. So that glycosidic linkage is formed between n number of glucose units. So it will give very lengthy chain of the polymer. Next, if you consider this is having straight chain, hence it is easy for it to get soluble. Of course, what is that percentage of this amylose in starch? It is considered as it is present around 15 to 20% of starch. And if you come for, which is that another water insoluble component, that is called as amylopectin. So this amylopectin, which is constituting about 80 to 85% of the starch. It is major constituent of the starch. So it is highly insoluble in water. So why it is highly insoluble in water means because of the presence of the branch. It is difficult to break the bonds between branches because there will be presence of the branches. We can find that branch after completion of 24 to 30 units of the glucose units which are linked together in a straight chain. That means in particular straight chain, after crossing 24 to 30 glucose units, you can find the branch. That branch also including glycosidic linkage. In straight chain also you can find glycosidic linkage between C1 and C4, that is C1 C4 glycosidic linkage you will find in case of straight chain, and in case of branch chain you will find C1 C6 glycosidic linkage. That is why because of the presence of branch it makes it too difficult to get dissolved in the water. So that means starch is one of the storage polysaccharide which is very important for even human beings also. So we need to survive with the help of this starch also. Now because it is acting as one of the important food source. And of course if you consider that structure of this starch, which is including two types of components, water soluble component amylose, water insoluble components amylopectin. So that is regarding storage polysaccharide, that is starch. In case in examination if they ask write the partial structure of water insoluble component, then which one you should write? You should write the structure of amylopectin. Then in case if they ask write the partial structure of water soluble component, or if they directly ask partial structure of amylose, then you need to write this arrangement. So you should remember the structural arrangement of both amylose as well as amylopectin. Next polysaccharide is, that is cellulose. So if you consider cellulose, where do you find cellulose? Cellulose is very much abundant in plants. It is one of the important primary component present in the cell wall in the plants. So now it will provide, you know that the cellulose is one of the structural polysaccharide. It gives structural format for the plant parts. And now if you go for this cellulose, actually this cellulose is made up of n number of beta T glucose molecules. That means the monosaccharide units which are present in this cellulose is beta D glucose units. And here these beta D glucose units are actually linked to one another through C1 and C4 carbon atoms, that is through oxygen atom. So we can find glycosidic linkage between C1 and C4 carbon atom. So that linkage we specifically called as beta C1-C4 linkage, or C1-C4 beta glycosidic linkage. So because here you can find there is presence of OH group here. So at first carbon atom, if OH group is present above and H is present below, it is specifically considered as beta. So for first carbon, that is first unit of the monosaccharide, the first carbon atom is involved. In the next unit, the fourth carbon atom is involved for glycosidic linkage. Hence that linkage is named as C1-C4 beta glycosidic linkage. Then you can find n number of such beta C1-C4 glycosidic linkage to give lengthy polymer chains. So here we can represent that general formula for this polysaccharide cellulose C6H10O5 n times. And now if you consider this one of that structural polysaccharide, it is containing n number of glucose units. Similar to that of cellulose, if you go for that next polysaccharide, glycogen, of course this glycogen is also made up of glucose units, that is n number of glucose units. What is that formula? C6H10O5. So for polysaccharides we can give this general formula. But that's difference between the cellulose and glycogen is, cellulose is found in plants, whereas glycogen is found in animals. So cellulose is structural polysaccharide, but glycogen is storage polysaccharide. So we can consider this glycogen actually present in muscles and liver in our living system. So that is our biological system. Whenever they are stored in the form of, that is glycogen is stored either in muscles or in liver, whenever we need energy, when there is lack of glucose in our bloodstream, when we need energy, we want glucose. So in that case, our body is able to convert the glycogen part into the glucose, so that we will get increase in the energy profile. So it is very helpful for us for the conversion of glycogen into glucose, so that we get the energy whichever is needed for our biological activities. Hence this excess of glucose in our body, that will be converted into glycogen and it will be reserved as energy source in muscles and liver. And now if you go for this glycogen, here it is called as storage polysaccharide. As you know, it is helping for storing that energy pockets in the form of glycogen. So whenever we need energy, then only this storage polysaccharide can be converting into monosaccharides, that is single units of glucose. That glycogen which is containing lengthy chain, polymer chain of glucose units, which are similar to that of, we can say that amylopectin. So do you remember this amylopectin? So amylopectin is one of the component present in the starch. In case of that structure of amylopectin, we can find a tight chain will be making the polymer chain through C1 C4 linkage, but there will be presence of branch for 8 to 10 glucose units, that in the branch we can find C1 C6 glycosidic linkage. So therefore it is also showing similarity to that of the amylopectin. And whenever we need energy, as I told you, there will be breakage of this linkage to give simpler glucose units. Then we can go for that one of the test glycogen gives is iodine solution test. When this glycogen is made to react with iodine solution, it will give red color. It indicates the presence of this glycogen. So that is regarding storage polysaccharide glycogen and structural polysaccharide cellulose. After learning about classification of polysaccharides, then saccharides, that is belonging to monosaccharides as glucose and fructose, then disaccharides, sucrose, maltose, lactose. We have learnt about their structures also. Then lastly we can go for biological importance of carbohydrates. As you know, carbohydrates are very important for both plants as well as our, that is human beings. So now if you consider a storage polysaccharide which is present in our body, that is glucose, it is converted in the form of glycogen. So we need this glucose for biological activities inside our living system. Similarly, plants also need starch for their existence. Now if we consider many importance of the carbohydrates, as you know, these carbohydrates are acting as source of energy in any living system. For existence of life, we need these carbohydrates, very essential. Now if you say that they are essential for both plants as well as animals, because they can be present as storage polysaccharides in plants in the form of starch, and in case of animals it is present in the form of glycogen. Whenever that energy is needed, they will take the help of this reserved food in the form of starch and glycogen. And if you say that structural polysaccharide which is present in plants, which is that structural polysaccharide is, that is cellulose. Actually we are not able to digest this cellulose because the enzyme which is helping for the digestion of the cellulose is cellulose, that is cellulase, which is not secreted inside our digestive system. But in case of ruminants, that is cattle like cow, horse, goats, they have this enzyme because of presence of symbiotic bacteria which releases the cellulase, which is helping for the digestion of the cellulose. So that is grazing animals usually contains this cellulase as the enzyme because of the presence of symbiotic bacteria, where we lack with that cellulase enzyme, hence we are not able to digest the cellulose. And in case if we consider that one particular application where we can find that joints of that skeletal system, wherever you find that joints, there will be presence of the carbohydrates which are actually acting as lubricating agents, and it is making easy movement of the skeletal system wherever there is presence of joints. And if you say they are also present as components in cells, that is in RNA and DNA in the form of sugar. One is ribose sugar and the one is deoxyribose sugar. And now if you go for antibiotics also, medicines, these antibiotics also contains many derivatives of carbohydrates where they are acting as antibiotics. And if you go for that starch can easily get hydrolyzed by the enzyme either phthalate or salivary amylase. So that is present inside our digestive system. In saliva there will be presence of salivary amylase, and in digestive system we can find that even that phthalate also. But very importantly, in the saliva there will be presence of that enzyme even phthalate or salivary amylase, and they can be able to convert that starch into disaccharide, that is maltose. But once that maltose enter into our intestine, there that maltose can be converted into glucose units in the presence of maltase. So even that enzyme can be helping, maltase can be helping to convert maltose into glucose units. And finally So that maltase, after converting into glucose, that glucose will be carried away along with that bloodstream throughout our body, and that blood can reach each and every cell in the tissues, where you can find in the tissue cells that glucose will undergo one sort of reaction, that is oxidation. Glucose on oxidation is able to give carbon dioxide and water, but very importantly it is able to generate or release much amount of energy. That energy is actually very much needed for different types of biological activities. Hence, that glucose is one of the important energy booster which is present inside our body. Without glucose, we are not able to exist. So that is regarding biological importance of carbohydrates. So we can end up with the topic, that is carbohydrates in biomolecules.